Hi, I'm Rob from robnonphoto.com, and today we're going to be having a quick review of a fantastic little compact film camera, 35mm film. It's the Minolta AF Big Finder, as it's quite amusingly called. Picked this little baby up at the car boot sale about a month ago, I think, because I've kind of got into this groove of buying 35mm compacts that look like they're pretty good. You know, you pick them up and they've got a little bit of weight to them. They look like they've got a nice lens onto them, and generally they look like a decent piece of kit. Not that there's anything wrong with the really cheap plastic compacts, you know, like the fixed focus, like panorama ones and things like this. But I thought it'd be a good idea just to try and review quite a few of these little 35mm ones, because they're incredibly cheap. I think I picked this one up for about £2, and they're a great way to get into film photography, because you can pick the film up for, you know, a couple of quid, pick up a roll of film from the pound shop or online, or you might even find someone who's got some old film hanging around, take it down to your local lab, if it's a C41 colour film or a C41 black and white, develop it yourself, develop it at the lab for, I don't know, £5, £7, something like that, depending how quick you want it done. And then you can have a go and you can have a look and you can decide whether the hit rate that you get with film, you know, is worth the cost. Because one of the beauties with digital is that thing called photographer's luck, you know, where you can take as many photographs as you like, because there's no real cost to each photograph. And that means that, you know, your chances of getting a good one kind of go up, and the chances of the happy mistake go up as well. Where with film, you know, you've got 24 or 36 exposures, and sometimes, you know, you might spend, I don't know, £5 on developing, maybe a £5 on some film, and then you know you don't get really that many usable shots. So you might think, actually, film's not for me. I'd rather just shoot digital, but you might well get into film. So there we go. So anyway, back to the Minolta AF Big Finder. And I've got to say, it really is a great little camera, and I'll go through the reason why. I've shot a roll of film for it now. And if you see one of these in a charity shop, a thrift store, at your local car boot sale, and somebody wants a couple of quid for it, you know, check the things we'll talk about, but then I would say just grab it, because it's a great camera, little camera to shoot with. And the beauty again with these little 35mm compacts is, because they don't cost much money, if you do drop it, if it does break, I mean, you know, what the hell, you can just carry on. Now, so let's start off with the outside of it. So it's called the Big Finder because it has a really big viewfinder. You probably might, I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. Lots of compacts have really tiny viewfinders that can be quite dim, and especially in tricky lighting conditions. That means you can't always see what you're pointing at. You can't always get your framing right. But this has a big one. I've got a feeling that probably when these were marketed, they were probably marketed maybe at the older generation, you know, who eyes were straining a bit. But you know, I cannot deny having a nice bright big viewfinder is definitely a bonus. It's got a built-in flash, or automatic flash, which is nice. The lens sits behind a little retractable window, which is nice, and that also doubles as the power button. It doesn't say what focal length the lens is, but looking at the photos that I've taken, I'd probably guess somewhere between 28 and 40mm, probably about 35mm, I would guess, because that's a good usable focal length. It's not super wide, it's not too telephoto, so you can get the scenes in when you want to take landscapes, but you can get close enough for portraits and things like that. It has fully automatic exposure. It has autofocus, but I think that's probably because the lens is a fixed focus lens. You know, it just focuses from probably about 3 feet to infinity, and they kind of do that with obviously the special design of the lens, but it would use quite a tight aperture as well. And I think probably what we've got on the front here is I don't know, see, it might have some sort of autofocus mechanism, because that could be for the autofocus, and then that sensor could be for the flash. If we look at the top of the camera, we've got our film rewind button, and we've got our we can have a timer on there as well, which I think is about 5 seconds or 10 seconds. Nice. We've got a little film window so we can see how far we've got with the film, and then on the back all we've got is our viewfinder, obviously, our low battery warning light, and our little window so we can see what film we've put in, and then on the bottom we've got your normal tripod mount. So fully automatic camera, it winds on automatically. If we look inside, again it's dead easy to load. You just put the film in, take the leader across, push it down there, close it up, and it'll load up automatically. Very nice, very easy. One annoying thing actually about often these little compacts that I find anyway is that you don't always know whether you've loaded the film right. Now 99 times out of 100 they're designed to be foolproof, and they are, and they will, but because there's no wind back lever on this side, there's nothing to spin around, so you don't know. And I know with this, I loaded it with a 36 roll, and I couldn't remember that I'd rolled it with a 36 roll of film, and when the counter was going up past 30 I was thinking, I'm sure I put a 24 roll in that one, I'm sure I did, there must be something wrong. But I carried on shooting that way. So it's very, very light. Now, probably one of its biggest advantages, this type of camera, and it's always worth checking this when you when you see one, see what type of batteries it takes. AAs. There you go, AA batteries, absolutely fantastic. When you're going to buy one of the main problems you have with them is that people have left the batteries in from the last time they used it, sort of 15 years ago. And you'll look in and they'll have corroded. If you do see that, if it's very light corrosion, it's worth a punt of a couple of quid, and you can get in there and clean it out. If it's bad though, just don't bother. It's not worth it. And there's a kind of a lesson there as well with all your cameras, whether they be digital or film. When you're storing them, make sure you take those batteries out, because if you forget to look at them, you might come back in a couple of years, or not even that long, to be honest. Batteries can leak in a very short period of time to find that the battery compartment is all gunked up. But as I said, AA batteries, really, really good, because lots of these little compacts and the big SLRs as well use more specialist batteries like CR2s or LR123, things like that. And the cost of those can be quite prohibitive. I mean, AAs you can pick up a four pack for a couple of quid, can't you? A few dollars. Whereas you might be looking at, say, £10 for one of the more specific batteries, because often they can be lithium as well, so they do last a long time. But then again, if you're only going to shoot a few rolls of film for the camera, do you really want to be spending £2 on the camera, £12 on a battery, and obviously film and developing? But as I say, the Minolta AF Big Finder AA batteries, big thumbs up, because no matter where you are in the world, you'll always be able to find some AAs. Really nice to use. Seems pretty tough. I mean, it's been knocking around in my pocket, and best of all, it's sharp. Probably outside of something like the Olympus Mu 2 or Stylus Epic or the Trip 35 or the Leica Z2X, this is probably one of the sharpest ones. What you'll see in a minute, at the end of the video, I'll do some close-ups of the photographs you can see. But let's see if there's any decent ones worth looking at. Where are we? It's just trying to pick ones that you might be able to see on the video. Things like, things like that shot. This camera's got a sharp lens on. These shots, really, really nice. Really nice. Great, great camera to use. Now, so as you can tell, black and white shots, because what I used in that camera was Ilford XP2 Super 400, which is a black and white film, but it's C41 process. What that means is that you can take it to your local lab, your local Asda, Boots, Walmart, wherever, send it off, and they'll process it in the same machine that does the colour. So you can get black and white prints without having to develop them by yourself at home. And personally speaking, I really like the look of XP2 as well. I think it's a sharp film anyway, so it's got a little bit of grain to it. You tend to find when you add grain, it does a certain amount of grain, does add a certain amount of sharpness. Now there may well be a caveat to that as well, is I didn't have a manual with this, and I couldn't find a decent one on the internet. And it could be that it doesn't perform really well with 400 speed film in very bright sunlight. I think we're starting to push the shutter speed when we get to that one. So you'll probably find that, especially with your colour, you're better off sticking with 200 speed, something like this Kodak Colour Plus 200, because some of the brighter shots, whereas in really bright sunshine, they seemed a little bit overexposed. Not too much. I mean, the shots still look okay, and nothing you couldn't solve in post on your computer as well. But again, the beauty with the XP2 from Ilford is the fact that it is black and white, but you can get it developed at your local lab. So that's pretty much a really good combination. The Minolta AF2 big finder 35mm compact, a roll of Ilford XP2 Super 400. You know, and you're good to go. It'll take some great photos, and I can't wait to put a roll of colour film through the Minolta, because I'm sure it's going to perform really well as well. Okay, so there we go. That's my little review of the Minolta AF Big Finder. My name's Rob from robnonphoto.com. If you want to get in touch, just send me an email, scalespeeder@gmail.com, or you can find me over on Flickr, or the website, which is robnonphoto.com. That's ROBNUNNPHOTO.com. And thanks for watching.